Hello everyone, Namaste. I hope you are doing well. And as we said, due to some reason, we were not able to come on live with Saraswathi Vasudevan ji. But today, this is a recorded session about SAUCA. She's gonna take. And if you have any question, we will take the questions during the next session live. Okay, so now I'm requesting Saraswathi Vasudevan ji to please proceed the session. Thank you.
Thank you, Shubhangi. So, sorry we missed the last session. We will work on Shaucha. We're just moving from Yama to Niyama today. Okay, so we have completed 3 Yamas. Now we're going to the first Niyama. I will begin with the prayer and, as usual, chant a few verses from the second chapter that relate to today's topic. Okay. Sahana vavatu, sahanau bhunaktu, sahaviryam karavavahai, tejasvinavadhitamastu, ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Yogena chittasya padena vacham malam sharirasya cha vaidyakena yopakarotam pravaram munina patanjalim pranjaliranatosmi abahu purushakaram shankha chakrasidharinam sahasrashirasam shvetam Pranamami Patanjalam Srimate Anantaya Nagarajaya Namo Namaha Gurubhyastat Gurubhyascha Namo Vakamadhimahe Vranimahe Chatatradyo Dampati Jagatampati Shri Gurubhyo Namaha अथ साधनपादः योगाङ्गानुष्ठानात् अशुद्धिक्षये ज्ञानदीप्तिः आविवेकख्यातेः यम नियम आसन प्राणायाम प्रत्याहार धारणा ध्यान समाधयः अष्टौ अंगानि अहिंसा सत्य अस्तेय ब्रह्मचर्य अपरिग्रहाः यमाः जाति देश काल समय अनवच्छिन्नाः सार्वभौमाः महाव्रतम् शौच संतोष तपः स्वाध्याय ईश्वर प्रणिधानानि नियमाः वितर्कबाधने प्रतिपक्ष भावनम् वितर्काः हिंसादयः कृतकारिता अनुमोदिताः लोभ क्रोध मोहपूर्वकाः मृदु मध्य अधिमात्राः दुःख अज्ञान अनन्तफलाः इति प्रतिपक्षभावनम् शौचात् स्वाङ्गजुगुप्सा परैरसंसर्गः सत्त्वशुद्धि सौमनस्य ऐकाग्रय इन्द्रियजय आत्मदर्शन योग्यत्वानि च I hope listening to the chanting has helped your mind to quieten down, settle down. You're able to sit comfortably, fully anchored in your body. Just get in touch with your breath. Observe the quality of your exhalation and inhalation. Your breath gives you an immediate sense of the internal environment of the body and the mind. If the breath is flowing smoothly, it is quiet, it is relaxed, you know that the mind is reasonably relaxed and quiet. You know that the body is comfortable. You understand that there are less disturbances that might pull you outward or might preoccupy you within. Just begin to deepen your exhalation and inhalation. With each exhalation, drop any thoughts, any other distractions that may come up. And inhale, just become deeply aware of this moment, of how you're feeling in your body, in your mind. You're completely present. As you watch your inhalation from the beginning to the middle to the end, transitioning into the exhalation, the beginning, the middle, and the end. Every moment is passing. And each time you're getting in touch with this moment, fresh and nascent. Open yourself to receive each moment as it arises and let it go as it passes. This moment-to-moment awareness helps you to get in touch with everything that is arising and passing. You begin to see that all our experiences, all that we are experiencing is transient, is simply arising and passing. There's only one thing that is real, that is permanent, which is the experiencer within this body-mind complex. That energizes, that enlivens everything. Take a few deep breaths, and whenever you're ready, open your eyes. So today I thought we will move from exploring the yamas into the niyamas, because we have to really understand that for us to practice the yamas in the world, yama is how you conduct yourself in the world, how you engage with the people around you. What are the boundaries you set in the relationship with people and the world around? Yeah. How do we draw these boundaries? How do we engage with this world? Now, for me to know that, I need to prepare myself. I need to do something with myself so that I am ready for this engagement. I know what is the right action in the world, right? So the niyama is supposed to be the preparatory ground for the practice of the yamas. In some sense, both these practices have to flow together. They have to work together. It's not one after the other. Okay? There is a certain sense of simultaneity to all the angas of yoga, whether it is asana or pranayama or yamas or niyamas or pratyahara. Everything has to happen simultaneously. And as we progress, each anga of yoga will help us to understand and refine every other anga of yoga. So I have been reiterating it, the importance of asana and pranayama for us to even practice the yamas, right? I have to have a certain sense of stability and steadiness in my mind to have a clear perception of reality. And a lot of our relationship with the world depends on how we understand people, yeah, how we perceive the world, and how we make meaning out of our experiences. And that meaning making process is invariably distorted because our mind is distorted with excess of rajas and tamas. So asana practice helps us to reduce the rajasic quality in the mind, helps to stabilize the mind, steady the mind, so it becomes a steady mirror for you to look at. Okay. Pranayama and using breath in asana helps you to reduce the tamasic quality. The heaviness, dullness, the opaqueness of the mind is reduced. So when the mind becomes steady and absolutely clear, then you can see reality. Then you can act appropriately in the world. Now, for that to happen, the niyamas are important. So niyama means niyama. So the prefix ni means nitaram. Nitaram means continuous. It is not like the yamas where it is contextual. So I may be sitting and meditating, doing my work by myself, and then I go out and meet somebody, right? Maybe my neighbor, maybe my student, maybe my colleague. And in that situation, I have to learn what I should practice, how I should speak the truth, how I should be kind, all of that. But the niyama is a continuous process. Nitaram means continuous, no break. Okay. Maybe the only time you take a break is when you go into sleep, right? Because you're not acting there is no chitta vritti, the mind is quiet, you completely rest. Moment you wake up to the time you go to sleep, nitaram, niyama has to be practiced. So there is no excuse with the practice of niyamas. We can give a lot of excuses for the yamas. So once a lawyer told me, I am a lawyer, so I have to tell lies what to do. I can't practice satyam. Somebody will say, I have to maybe if I'm a surgeon, I have to cause some amount of pain to somebody if I have to do my surgery, so I cannot practice absolute ahimsa. So we can say all that. And Yoga Sutra talks about those factors, right? Jati, Desha, Kala, Samaya. There are many factors that could interfere with the practice of the yamas. So we can always give some excuse and get away with it. But with niyama, no such excuses can be given because it is something that one has to learn to practice continuously. And it also is an enabler for the yama. So through the niyamas, I am cleaning my mind. I am helping my body, mind, all of this to get integrated in a way, harmonized in a way that I can act through the yamas very harmoniously. I don't have to struggle a lot in my engagement with the world. So the niyamas take care of it. Yeah, it is an internal practice. So I could look at niyama as attitudes that one can learn to cultivate, as practices that one has to do continuously, as a state of being itself. How do I develop a certain state of being? Yeah, that is the niyama. So today we will look at the first niyama, which is SAUCA. SAUCA comes from the root shuchi. Shuchi means that which is pure and clean. Okay. So being pure, being clean is SAUCA. It is not simply cleaning something, but it is to have a sense of what is clean and to be able to differentiate between what is clean and pure from what is unclean and impure. Do I have that ability to discern, to see something and say, oh, this is clean and this is not. So this is Shaucha. And Shaucha is considered very, very important. Like Ahimsa is on top of the Yamas, Shaucha is on top of the Niyamas, which means that is fundamental to all the other Niyamas. That will define the quality of all the other Niyamas. So there are two kinds of Shaucha that the texts talk about. Patanjali is also alluding to that. Now remember, when we get into the Yama Niyama explanation in the Ashtanga Yoga of Patanjali, he is not defining each of these. He is not saying this means Yama, this is Ahimsa, this is Satya. He is not defining any of these words. So the assumption is that you already know it. Many other texts talk about it. Some texts talk about 10 Yamas, 10 Niyamas, right? So these are common words that they don't need to be defined by Patanjali. Okay? But he clearly states that if somebody is established in Ahimsa, then this is what will happen. If somebody is established in Satyam, this is what will happen. So he is almost giving us like an end point or the fruit of being completely established in the Yamaniyams. I didn't get into it when we were talking about Ahimsa, Satyam, and Asteyam. We will get to it later when we complete all the 10. But the idea is that these are practices that are evolving, right? They're not absolutes. Don't look at them as absolutes. Because when I talk about purity, cleanliness, any amount of cleaning, that which is going to get impure, there is no end to it. You can keep cleaning your body, but you have to clean it every day, right? You have to clean your teeth maybe twice a day. You have to clean your nails. You have to wash your hair. Yeah, you have to eat clean food. It is not like once I have cleaned, that is enough. Yeah? Because what you're cleaning is constantly getting into. So there is no idea of perfection or absoluteness here. Yeah, it is relative. So as I progress with my practice, with my understanding of what is Shaucha, what is Shuchi, Ashuchi, then I will get a sense of, I'll become more and more sensitive. Okay? That sensitivity is what I have to develop. And as I progress, maybe we will reach a space where we will be able to actually experience the fruit of that practice. So let us not get to that right now, but I will talk about it in relation to Shaucha because it is very important. Now, coming to two types of Shaucha, the text talk. One is external, called Bahya Shaucha. The other is internal, called Anta Shaucha. So what is Bahya Shaucha? It is keeping your environment clean. The space where you live in has to be clean and pure. Particularly, the text talk about the place where you do your practice. Yeah, like Hatha Yoga Pradipika talks about a matha, a hut where you practice. So how clean that place has to be, how the floor has to be, all of that. So the cleanliness of your immediate environment is very important. Bahya Shaucha also includes purity of your body. So the body is also external to you. It's not internal. Okay. So how to keep your body clean? The commentaries talk about using the various elements like earth and water. So you use mud and water to clean the body. In those days, they used that. They even use mud to clean the clothes and all. Today we have soaps and we have a lot of other things to clean them, right? But water is an essential element. Earth is an essential element for cleaning. Now, if you extend this idea a little further, you can look at fire as an element for cleaning because you have the fire that helps to cook your food. So when I say clean the body, it's not just cleaning the external body, it's also keeping the body clean. Okay, so taking food that is pure, that is Shaucha. When the food is pure, then you are able to digest it well. And they say the most subtle part of the food becomes your mind. Yeah? It's a very interesting phrase, statement in the Chandogya Upanishad. It says, how pure your food is, that pure your mind is. Okay, I don't want to go into too many details with that, but it says, Ahara Shuddha Sattva Shuddhi. If the Ahara, the food is pure, the Sattva here refers to the mind, becomes pure. Sattva Shuddha Dhruva Smritihi. It says it cleans your memory. Your memory becomes very sharp if your mind is clear. Yeah. Smriti Lambhe Sarva Granthinam Vipramoshaha. It says, as the memory becomes more and more refined, you understand your direction. You know which direction to go. And as you progress in the direction, all the knots, Granthi means knots, where your prana is blocked, will be cleared out. So your prana can flow free. So it talks about the importance of pure food. Okay. And it is a food that creates your mind. Food is not independent of the mind. You have to see the entire body, mind as a continuum. The gross level, you have the body. The most subtle part of the body is the mind. And so what you feed, the quality of your fire will determine the purity of the food that makes up your tissues, your organs, and finally your mind. Yeah? The mind, here we're not referring to the food composition in terms of protein, fat, carbohydrate. We are talking about the proportion of the rajas, tamas, and sattva. So the right proportion of rajas and tamas that does not impede clarity of the mind, that keeps the body light. So sattvam has to dominate. That's the idea. Okay, so fire as a cleaning agent. And as we continue with the come to tapas, where fire is the cleaning agent. Okay, so you can look at earth to clean, water to clean. There is so much talked about in the text on the importance of water. Like every time you consume water, you have to pray to that water. It's like you are praying to this devata, the divine energy that is the water, asking that water to cleanse you, asking that water to cleanse and nourish every cell in your body. So when you have a bath, there is a prayer that you chant that will, it's almost assuming that all the great rivers, the Ganga, Yamuna, and all these rivers are actually flowing through the tap or in your well that actually come to purify you. So you invoke the energy of the water to come and purify. That's the idea of the water. Then I talked about the fire, then air. So how do you purify with the air? Goes through the breath, right? So in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, of all the elements that purify, I am the air. So he's alluding to air as a purifying agent. Okay, and then space. We know that when we enter into a space, if it is clean, you feel really uplifted, right? You feel nice and happy. But if the place is very cluttered and dirty, you don't want to be there. So space also has a very powerful effect on how you feel inside. Okay, so all of these are referring to the Bahya Shaucha, taking care of your body, cleaning the body, and taking pure food, clean food. Now, there is elaborate information about food in Ayurveda. It talks about food that has to be balanced of the 6 rasas, 6 tastes, food that has to balance your doshas, that should not cause any imbalance in your doshas, that has to nourish all your tissues, the 7 dhatus, that has to protect your Agni, the digestive fire. And finally, the most subtle part of the food, which becomes ojas, which is responsible for your immunity, for your vitality, for your longevity, right? All of this is based on food. We also look at the importance of how you cook the food, who cooks the food, what's the state of mind of the person who cooks the food, what are the ingredients you're using, what is the source of the food, where it comes from. All of these will determine the shuchi aspect of the food. So there's a story that I heard long ago on this. There is a very, very evolved being, a sage who visits a king. Okay. And usually, these mendicant sannyasis don't go and stay for very long in any place. But the king really pleads him, says, you have to stay with me for a few days. You have come a long way. Why don't you just come and stay with me? I would like to study with you. And he says, okay, it will make you happy. I will stay with you. So he stays with the king, and he is, of course, served beautiful meal. Every meal is very good. He enjoys the meal, he stays. And then when it's time for him to leave, he actually takes a very expensive necklace of the queen, puts it into his bag and walks away. Okay. Then he comes back to his ashram and he sees what he has carried and he cannot understand why this happened. So he goes back to the king and to hand it over to him. And he asks the king, I want to know what's the source of the food that you fed me. So the king says, okay, this is a particular merchant from where we get the food. And then he says, can you inquire a little more? And then they find out that the food, the rice that he was eating was actually in some way stolen. Okay. And somehow it has reached the palace, and that is the food that the sage ate. Because his body is so pure, he immediately reacted to it and he developed some ashuchi in his mind. So the food actually caused his mind to go astray and pick up something that does not belong to him. So he did some steya because the food was ashuchi. Yeah. So coming to internal shuchi, anta shaucha is the purity of the mind. So how pure is my mind? No, we do know that. We do recognize when we have angry thoughts, when we have thoughts of violence, when we have thoughts of hatred, of too much of desire for something that we know is not good for us, that does not belong to us. Yeah. So the avidya, asmita, raga, dvesha, abhinivesha express themselves as the shad urmis. Kama, too much of desire, unreasonable desires, kama. Krodha, anger that is almost like hatred. Yeah. Krodha. Lobha. Lobha is greed. Wanting to possess something, too much of something. Mada, delusion. Kama, krodha, moha. Moha is delusion. Mada is pride, arrogance, you can say. Like when too much of asmita, sometimes we are blinded. We act from that. Mada and matsarya. Matsarya is, you can say, jealousy, envy, also prejudices that we hold. Yeah? So these are the impurities of the mind. Can I recognize? Okay, when they come up, can I learn to purify them? Now, invariably, you remember that every time we come to the Yama Niyamas, I'm talking about the purpose of Yama Niyamas is to remove the impurities, Ashuddhi Kshaya, right? So that the light within will shine and show you the direction. So these are the Ashuddhi. These are the things that defile the mind, that make the mind impure, that add to the Rajas and Tamas in our system. Yeah, so we have some experiences. I look at somebody, and invariably, we compare ourselves with another person. And we see that that person is better than me. Then there is this little niggle of envy inside. And we recognize, that I'm feeling that. But it is not about completely negating it, but really knowing that it is ashuchi. It is impure. Now, how do I remove that impurity in my mind? I cannot simply wish it away, right? Maybe I can do some practice to say, okay, I'm cleaning this and letting go of this. I don't want this. I don't need this, right? But at another level for me is to really understand the root of that. And invariably, if you go behind a feeling of envy or jealousy, there is always a desire, an aspiration to be good, yeah, to be better than what I am. So it is almost like I'm looking at that person saying, I wish I could be that. I wish I had that quality. I wish I could be as generous as that person. So when you touch the aspiration, it's something positive, right? It's not something negative. So then I can feed that aspiration rather than feeding the envy. So when we're talking about internal shaucha, it is not simply looking at something as impure and wishing it away or imagining that I'm washing it away. You can do all of that, but also to get to the root of the problem. Yeah, because it's always about understanding how raga, dvesha, asmita, abhinivesha are working through. How through every experience, I am feeding that field. I'm feeding those seeds, right? So, if I don't let that feeling take root in me, then I can actually treat the other person as myself. But if I allow that to take root in me, already there is dvesha, there is separation between me and the other. I see the other person better than me or not as good as me. Either ways, I've built a wall, right? And Shuchi helps me to see this. The more I purify, the more I do my practice of asana, pranayama, dhyana, meditation, I'm able to see what is pure and what is impure. I'm able to differentiate it. This ability to differentiate is very important, to discern what is pure and impure. Because if I don't develop that ability, then I won't know, right? We just allow all these emotions to take over and then we feel really bad about it, and there's no point. Now, let us take the example of food, for example. Now, if let's say a food is old, okay, but most of us don't want to taste food. We keep it in the fridge, we take it, we want to reheat and have it. Now, you have to taste a little bit of the food and ask yourself, is it shuchi or ashuchi? Invariably, you will know if there is life in that food or no life in it. Is that food that it is pure? It may not have even got spoiled, okay, because we have very good refrigerators today. So it may not have got spoiled, but it has lost prana, right? So that is ashuchi. That invariably will build tamas in our system. When I become very tamasic, my mind is so clouded, then it is moha, it is lobha, it is kama, it is krodha, all of that will take over my mind. So the external shuchi and the internal shuchi are very much connected. They are not independent of each other. I cannot just eat whatever I want, whenever I want, and assume that my mind will be pure. Because I am doing my asana, my pranayama, my meditation, I can't assume my mind will be pure because I have not taken care of my food. So again, here food becomes fundamental, and the quality of rajas, tamas, and sattva that is generated out of the food that we eat. And we can observe that very clearly. Some foods make us very tamasic, so then we can't think clearly, we cannot act clearly. Some foods make us very rajasic that in spite of knowing we are highly provoked, highly reactive. Yeah, we tend to be very abrupt in our actions and our engagement and do cause pain to ourselves and other people. When sattva dominates in the mind, there is stability, there is clarity, there is better understanding, and therefore the practice of yamas become easier. So this primarily is based on the shuchi in the food that will develop shuchi in the mind. Yeah. Now, very interesting idea when Patanjali talks about Bahya Shaucha and Anta Shaucha. It says when one is established in external purity. It says Shauchat Swanga Jugupsa Paraira Asamsarkaha. You purify the body. Okay, the more you purify the body, make sure you're eating pure food, you begin to sense that this body is anyway impure. You begin to understand the impure, impermanent nature of your body. So it is not getting obsessed with the body, okay, which we all do get. We get overly obsessed with the body. Either we are indulging too much or we are depriving the body too much with this obsession. Okay, I have to have this control, that control, and we are fasting, we are doing all kinds of crazy things. Or we are going to the other extreme of completely indulging. Neither of this is going to help. So, Bahya Shaucha, when you practice, how do you know you're moving in the right direction of Bahya Shaucha? Patanjali says, you develop a distaste for your own body. You develop a sense of detachment from your body. You're taking care of it. You're really taking care of it, but you're not so attached and obsessed with it. I don't know whether we truly can understand this statement. And he says that because you understand the impermanent, impure nature of your body that needs to be cleaned all the time, you also get detached from attachment to other bodies. So now you understand how this supports the practice of brahmacharya. That's why I wanted to do this before you get to brahmacharya, right? So why is the practice of brahmacharya difficult, and how shaucha helps with brahmacharya? We will come to it in the next session. But really looking at internal purity, before we get to the internal purity, external purity is about really understanding the nature of the body. That it needs to be purified all the time, but the nature of the body is to get defiled. It is impermanent. It is prakriti. There is no idea of perfection with the body. And once you know that there is no idea of perfection with the body, you will learn to take care of it to the extent possible, but you're not getting overly obsessed about it, overly worried about it. Yeah. If we have a body, it will have problems, it will have disease, it will have breakdowns. You learn to take care of it, but you're not hanging on to it and you're not all the time crying about it. You keep moving on because there's something beyond it. You go into the internal shaucha saying, I have to take care of the mind. I have to purify my mind. Because sometimes we can be clinically clean. Yeah, you see a lot of people obsessed with cleanliness. The house will be absolutely clean. The body will be absolutely clean. They will not, I don't know. I mean, sometimes it's really crazy. Like how much we focus on cleanliness. It's an obsession. But what happens to the mind then? We're looking at everything else and saying that is not pure, that is not clean. And we develop more and more disgust and aversion. Yeah, not only towards our own body, which is anyway getting defiled, but also towards everything around us, places and people and situations. And that doesn't give peace of mind. Can I be peaceful with that kind of thought in my mind all the time, judging, being prejudiced? Yeah, it's not going to help me. So external cleanliness, is it supporting internal cleanliness or is it at war with it? That's something we have to think about. Internal cleanliness, is it helping me to know what is the right food to eat? So if my mind has more sattva, I will make the right choice of food. If there is more tamas, if there is an apple and ice cream, you know which we will take, right? If there is more rajas, we will know what choices we will make, right? I have the choice to be quiet and consider the situation and be kind, but I will be react because rajas is dominated. I have no control, right? So is internal shaucha supporting external shaucha? Is external shaucha supporting internal shaucha? Is something that we have to examine continuously. We learn to examine that. It will support us to practice external shaucha and the internal shaucha and help us to practice all the other yamas and niyamas. So it is a very fundamental practice. Okay. Now coming to the effect of or the fruit of internal shaucha, anta shaucha. This is a long sutra. Patanjali says, wait, I have to chant that to remember. So, Shauchat Swanga Jugupsa Paraira Samsargaha Sattva Shuddhi Saumanasya Aikagraya Indriya Jaya Atma Darshana Yogyatvanich. So the highest level of internal Shaucha, one who's established in a pure mind, which is a mind absolutely full of sattva, has sattva shuddhi. So the mind is absolutely pure. Okay? Pure mind means very limited rajas and tamas, that is keeping one functional. Does not mean you don't have it. Yeah. But the sattva determines the action of the rajas and tamas. Sattva shuddhi. Saumanasya. The mind is very pleasant. A very pleasant disposition of the mind. Okay. So positive mind. The person can look at any situation and look at what is positive in that situation. That is Saumanasya. Okay. Aikagraya, one-pointed mind. The mind has ekagrata. Ekagraya, indriya jaya, mastery over sense organs. So all the sense organs have been mastered. Atma Darshana Yogyatvanchi. This being is fit for, ready for Atma Darshana, ready for self-realization. So it is almost like the highest state of Samadhi. Okay? This is the result of internal Shaucha, Anta Shaucha. So I don't think we understand this very clearly. Okay, as an absolute state, but like I said, every step takes you closer to it. So to some extent, you understand that when the mind is calm and steady, when there is no sattva, there is more ekagrata, right? You're able to be more focused, more attentive, and you have some level of mastery over the power of the senses. The senses are not pulling you in all directions. You're not feeding everything indiscriminately. You're able to make the right choice with what you want to take, yeah, what you want to let go of. So all of these develop a very deep, high level of vairagya in the system. The niyama is about you practice, you do the abhyasa, and the result is vairagya. You become more detached from your own body. You're taking care of it. You're paying attention to it, its needs, but you're not too attached to it. You're not obsessed about it. Okay, and so you can do the right action to take care of the body. And the Anta Shaucha helps you to achieve deeper and deeper states of steadiness, clarity, one-pointedness, and freedom from the senses being drawing your energy away. And ready for Atma Darshan. Okay, so this is about Shaucha. Now, some more ideas about Shaucha. How do we practice it in our daily life? How do we bring the practice of Shaucha? Bahya Shaucha, of course, we can look at our room, we can look at our house, we can look at our immediate environment to see, can I keep it clean? Yeah. Now, a lot of us have the capacity to keep our house clean, right? Maybe our compound clean, but we don't really care much about how the street is, how the rest of the place is, right? Sometimes we dump a lot of garbage outside our compound because this is my boundary, yeah? As far as my boundary is clean, I'm fine. We have to examine it. Yeah, this is really what's happening to the earth. So Shaucha, real Shaucha means that I have to become so sensitive to every form of defilement, every form of garbage that I'm throwing out into the world. And how do I maintain Shuchi at the external level? So the earth, the water, yeah, the air, how do I contribute towards purifying these, or at least contribute towards not making these more impure? That's one aspect to look at. Really seriously look at. Take one or two things, not more than that. Otherwise, we get overwhelmed. Okay, we can't think of all the problems in the world, all the dirt in the city and the streets, and say, how am I going to clean? We are not going to clean. Yeah. But just to do one or two things that will help us to practice this in the form of external shaucha. Taking care of our own body, taking care of the food that we eat, but also taking care of our external environment. Anta Shaucha requires us to examine what we have taken in from the world outside. End of the day, you're doing a cleaning practice, right? So that is about Anta Shaucha. So you recognize maybe you're carrying some hurt, some pain, some anger, some confusion, some complexity, and you want to release it, you want to clean it out of your system. So you do some practice to get it out of your system. Asana and pranayama are great practices to purify for shaucha. Yeah. Eating the right kind of food, which we have already talked about. Speech. So what I let out of my tongue, I cannot take it back, right? So shaucha is also about not just thinking, but also speech and action. So how do I bring shaucha into all these aspects? So I have to examine. Again, going back to the practice of ahimsa and satyam and asteya, and saying, now, how can I weave shaucha into it? Okay, how can I do all these practices together? They're not like you don't have to do 5, 10 different practices. You take one or two things and see how do I build the attitude of shaucha into it? How do I build that quality into it? Yeah, it's like you create a certain sensitivity to your thought, to your actions, and bring this idea of shaucha. And the end of the day, you examine, okay, where was shaucha, where I could practice, where I could not practice. And then what is the residue that it has left inside me, and how do I cleanse it out of my system? So in our text, we have some very beautiful verses that invoke the light within to purify all these layers of ourselves. Yeah. So there is a Arogya mantra that we also call the, maybe I can chant a few verses from that to help you to understand how to purify the different layers of us. The 5 pranas, prana, apana, vyana, udana, samana, how to purify all the 5 pranas. How to purify the different parts of the body, the different organs, the sense organs, the 5 elements, okay, the 5 koshas, all of these. Okay, I'll just chant a few verses from that and conclude for today and reflect on this. And if you have any questions, any sharing, we will meet in the next session. This is called the Viraja mantra. प्राणापान व्यानुदान समानामि शुद्ध्यन्तान् ज्योतिरहं विरजा विपाप्मा भूया सगस्वाहा ॐ वाङ्मनश्चक्षुश्रोत्रजिह्वाघ्राणरेतो बुद्ध्या कोटिसङ्कल्पामि शुद्ध्यन्तां ज्योतिरहं विरजा विपाप्मा भूया सगस्वाहा ॐ शिरः पाणिपादपार्श्वपृष्ठोदरजङ्घशिष्णोपस्थपाय शुध्यन्तान् ज्योतिरहं विरजा विपाप्मा भूयासगस्वाहा ॐ त्वक्चर्ममागुंसरुधिरमेदोऽस्थिमज्जामि शुध्यन्तान् ज्योतिरहं विरजा विपाप्मा भूयासगस्वाहा ॐ शब्दस्पर्शरूपरसगन्धामि शुध्यन्तान् ज्योतिरहं विरजा विपाप्मा भूयासगस्वाहा ॐ पृथिव्यप्तेजो वाय्वाकाशामि शुध्यन्तान् ज्योतिरहं विरजा विपाप्मा भूयासगस्वाहा ॐ अन्नमय प्राणमय मनोमय विज्ञानमयानन्दमयामि शुध्यन्तान् ज्योतिरहं विरजा विपाप्मा भूयासगस्वाहा ॐ स्वाहा So it's very important for us to look at every aspect when we look at the body, all the aspects of the body, our sense organs, the different parts of the body, the different organs, all their functions. Everything is governed by energy, a deeper intelligence, right? And in our text, it talks about each one governed by a devata, by a light being. And we invoke this energy. We pay our respects to it, we revere this energy and ask that intelligence to purify us. It's not me cleaning, it's not my ego doing that work, but I invoke that deeper intelligence that's coming from the self, the Atma or the Purusha, and asking that to purify all aspects of myself, right? Including the ego. Because otherwise, if the ego gets really big and fat, thinking I am doing all of this. But even this ego has to be purified, right? So as we continue to purify, as the avidya, kshetram, the raga, dvesha, abhinivesha, asmita become more and more subdued, as the rajas and tamas become more and more subdued, then there is so much clarity and understanding that one is able to engage with the world in a very harmonious manner from a very deep location, not affected by sukham and dukkham so much, but really knowing what is the right action to do, to live and act dharmically. Okay? To know what is the right action to do at the right time in the right manner. And each of these are the dharmas that we are looking at. Today we looked at Shaucha. Okay, so we'll come back next week with the next aspect. Thank you. I will finish with the prayer. Asato ma Satgamaya Tamaso ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
Thank you so much for this wonderful session. And if anybody have any questions to ask, please send us email on hello@yoga4unity.com. We have put on the description also the email ID if you have any doubt about the email. Thank you so much, everyone. We will meet on next Wednesday for next session. Thank you.